Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sathology Debunking Mythology. Today we are going to talk about yoga and how yoga helps in various, we have bodily issues there, air movement is like what diseases are caused due to that, and also how to rectify them through therapy. Now, yoga is not regarded as a medicinal system in US according to US medicine, but it is regarded as a therapy. It is approved as a therapy by most of the American doctors, including American Medical Association. So it can be an alternative theory therapy, but I hope it can become one of the main therapies also. I hope that is a hope. But I'll stop there. And more people can censure me after that if I say more than that. But anyway, without delay, let us welcome Shetul Vyas. You have heard his videos, you heard his talks on channel, and he has been extremely articulate in what he says. So without delay, let us welcome Atul Vyas. Namaskar, Atul Vyas ji.
Namaskar, Namaskar. Thank you and good morning to you.
So Atul Vyas ji, before we start off, first of all, I want to say that most of the people have made yoga as just an exercise. We were speaking about it, and it is just a series of
Mm,
exercise and breath control. So,
mm.
can you please speak something on that? What is your viewpoint on thinking yoga just like that?
Well, yoga is basically is the mind is very fickle. The fickleness mind is well known all over the globe, and the fickleness of mind give lets the senses of our body very highly stressed because of the fickleness of the mind. The senses are running from here to there and there to there and get very stressed, and due to getting stressed, they give rise to many diseases. And yoga is an art of stabilizing the fickleness of mind and purifying the mind and stabilizing the mind. And this is the yoga, and it is being done through a tool called Ashtanga Yoga. So, uh, in my opinion, yoga is an exercise of mind which controls and stabilizes the mind and purifies the mind, as well as your senses and your body. Aditi ji.
So, in like there is a big emphasis on flexibility of the body. And generally, when you ask an American and they say, "Oh, I cannot bend my body like that," it's a very funny thing for them, and they get dissuaded from yoga. So is yoga all about flexibility? Because when you go to a yoga studio, you see instructors with such toned bodies, and then normal people are scared. Is it? I've got few inches here, few inches there, and how do I compete with them?
Well, this is, actually, I mean, all the teachers all over the globe, I mean, I see their websites and when I talk to them, they are more trying to impress people through their flexibility. And rather not impress, but they want to show that they are better than them. And this is the flexibility is the sole criterion of yoga. Unfortunately, it is not. Because, if flexibility would have been the criteria of yoga, the gymnasts would have been the best yoga teachers in the world, but they are not. So, this is not the criteria of yoga. And flexibility is always relative. You know, I mean, relative in a sense, as far as yoga is concerned, the benefits of yoga. You know what? What does yoga poses do? That is a very important question, one can raise. Yoga poses basically, they these poses are designed in such a way to reduce your thoughts and to reduce your desires. This is amazing. Basically, the desires are propelled by thoughts, and thoughts is a, as per the science, is an electric energy. And when these energies move in certain direction, they give rise to the desires. And these are energy multipliers. When they move in certain direction of desires, they are multiplier like coronavirus. They they, they one desire give rise to 10, 10 to 100 to 1000, and so on and so forth. So yoga reverses the flow of that current or direction, and thereby reduces thoughts and desires. That is an amazing thing which yoga does. And how it does, what is the pathway, is still not known to the science and nor to me, to be honest. But there is certain thing that it does reduce desires and it does reduce the thoughts. It tend to make you almost thoughtless. This I have experienced. So I am telling you. So yoga is flexibility has nothing to do uh, with yoga. I mean, there is no defined prescription that you have to reach to this level. You have to be flexible enough. You have to, this is the ultimate posture. No, the postures, the flexibility are very relative. If a person who is doing he has been all yoga, the ancient text has given a very broad outline. They just mentioned that do this and nothing else. How you do it, whether you are able to do it rightly or wrong, what is the ultimate position, what is this alignment. No, 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 no. Because these alignment and other yogic these trends of flexibility and are have been introduced lately by Mr. BKS Iyengar and Pattabi Joyce, whom I have met them both, and they knew me very, very closely enough, and I have learned from them a lot. And I have interviewed BK Iyengar on tape for 2 hours, and he admitted that they have made yoga more physical, just to and more towards architecture, that the outer architecture of an asana should look beautiful. So it basically, the outcome of the yoga, whether you are doing it ultimately as your teacher is doing, both the benefits to the teacher who's flexible, if he's doing a pose, or if she or he is doing a pose, getting the same benefit as you will if you are not flexible enough, but trying to go into that pose, doing it broadly enough, then you will also get the advantage of that pose if you do little more than what your body permits. That is, there are three stages in yoga, doing yoga asana. Number one, you don't feel any stretch. That is no good. Second position comes when you feel a stretch, but that is a pleasant stretch. That is should be the desired position for the beginners. They should not look at the teachers. They should not look around what other people are doing, but they should focus on doing a stretch little more uh, uh, when it is pleasant. And then if you go to the third stage where you are doing a stretch but it is painful, avoid that. So there are three stages: state of no stretch, feeling of no stretch. Second is the feeling of pleasant stretch, and third is painful stretch. So avoid painful stretch, avoid no stretch, and go for the pleasant stretch. Doesn't matter if you are not doing so perfectly as your teacher is doing, but trust me, you will get all the benefits whatever your teacher is getting by doing that posture, so beautifully, you as you may say them flexibly. Aditya ji.
So, in you said benefits. Now, benefits is a very broad term, and there can be many benefits. You said of each yogasan. So, what are the things? And we don't want to predict that anyone will be cured by the yoga. They should take medical help in any way. Like I said, that yoga is a therapy. It's a science, and Atulji loves to call himself yoga scientist. This is the first time I've ever heard somebody calling himself yoga scientist. So if you look at just the science of the asana, so the one of the biggest diseases today in the society, American society, I can say, and it's increasing in other societies who follow the American way of life. America is the hardest working country on the planet, and they work harder than any other country. Like you'll see people do 2 3 jobs a day, and people are working for 18 hours, 20 hours just to make ends meet. In some places, so for them, yoga is an escape for a few minutes, and they can have stress related disorders in a big way, especially mental right now. So what do you recommend for people who are suffering from mental anxieties, stress, things like that?
Well, when we talk of yoga, how does it benefit and how it is? I mean, therapeutic. There is a first one must understand the concept of granthis in yoga. The granthis is a concept of glands or knots. In yoga, we believe that this entire universe is divided into 7 layers, like s- like akash, space, air, um, fire, and so on and so forth. There are 7 layers this entire universe is divided into. Similarly, yoga believes that whatever there is in the universe is there in the body or in a pinda. The pinda means a small earthen, you can take a stone or whatever earthen thing. The same things are there in the pinda, what are there in the Brahmanda, that is universe. So in this body also you have got a mini universe according to yoga. And once you understand this Granthi system before you try to practice yoga and you start finding solutions. So may I begin with giving a primer on the Granthi system, Aditya ji?
Yes, please. Yes.
So, well, called Vyoma Granthi or Namo Granthi. That is, it's a this gland is a combination of 5 small glands. This knot is a combination of 5 small glands, which are thyroid, parathyroid, your salivation gland, tonsils, and a few others, small glands. And this Granthi is just above the collarbone. This
So
area is the
can
working
you
area of
can you
the
repeat
Namo
because we
Granthi.
could not hear you? Your screen was frozen for some few minutes.
All right. Well, as
Vyom
I
Granthi.
said,
Vyom Granthi.
yeah, Vyom Granthi is a combination of 5 glands, which are thyroid, parathyroid, salivary glands, tonsillitis, and one more gland. And their location is above the collarbone, and this is their working area. And these glands, the secretion of these glands are very important, and they fight and you know uh, neutralize the poisonous secretion produced by the diseases. So this gland should be in a very good working condition if you want to be healthy. And when these glands are working very efficiently and are healthy, then a person becomes very happy, very strong, and he's not prone to the diseases, and his nervous system becomes strong enough. When these glands become weak, a person gets into depression, his metabolism is disturbed, he becomes a very negative person mentally and physically. He becomes prone to many kind of diseases because the functioning of this gland affect the functioning of other glands in the body. So I will cut short this description. I can go on in very detailed mode to explain this Vyom Granthi, but I will move on to another knot Granthi, which is called Vayu Granthi. Vayu means air, a knot of air. This this Granthi contains five another glands, which namely are heart, lung, thymus, and two more glands. And this is a very important part of the glandular system, because two glands, heart and lung, they work ceaseless. They never take a break, and they never take any rest. They don't stop even for a fraction of a second. If they do, we are dead. So this granthi, Vayu granthi, is very, very, very important for the functioning of the human system. So when these glands are functioning very well, your stamina is very good. Your working capacity becomes very, very good, and you feel very, very happy as well mentally. When I talk to you things about mentally, and you when these glands are functioning to this optimum level, functioning very healthily, then a person is very balanced, happy, nature, cooperative, and all that. But when these function, they malfunction, they are weak, then what happens? You develop asthma, you develop heart problems, then you become very restless, and you become too much talkative, you become very jealous, you become very, what I say, very mean or rather, and you become very talkative, and you get very thin, you lose weight like anything, and you keep on becoming thin and thinner and thinner. So these are outer symptoms, and this is called Vayu Granthi. If this gland is weak, you develop influenza, this corona thing, and all that. So, in to fight even corona and all that, to develop immune system, this gland needs to be very strong. And there are one more thing: there are specific yoga practices to strengthen these glands. I must tell you before I go on to the third gland. So there are very specific yogic exercises to strengthen Vyoma Granthi, to strengthen the Vayu Granthi, to strengthen the Agni Granthi. So this is a very detailed science, but I am making it very short for because we have got less time. Then the third Granthi or the knot is Agni Granthi, the fire, the Granthi of fire. These includes five glands. They are liver, pancreas, stomach, spleen, and gallbladder. They are the component of the fire Agni Granthi. When these Granthis, when these knots are strong enough, a person becomes a great leader, very highly motivated, never tirelessly working, very, very mentally and physically strong. All the military commanders, great political leaders, they have in them, this Agni Granthi are very strong. And that is why they are so strong. And in people, when this Granthi becomes weak, they are prone to diabetes. Number one, all the digestive disorders start from here. And when the digestive disorder starts here, there can be so many diseases that can happen to you. So this is another very, very, very important Granthi. And working well, when this Granthi works very well, there are different criterions of you become a great leader, selfless leader, you lead from the front, and when this Granthi become weak, as I said, many diseases, and also that person become very cruel, very ruthless when this Granthi is weak, and very mean and destructive. He uses his power for the destruction. So now we move to another Granthi, which is called Prithvi. This is called Prithvi Granthi, that Granthi of earth. This Granthi lies at the base of our spine, and this controls the development movement of your muscles and bones. for flexibility, this gland is very, very important. And person in whom this gland is working efficiently, they are of a robust build, and they are of a very cool temperament, very satisfied, no anger, no repentance, no attachment. They are perfectly happy and contented. And when this granthi is weak, they become opposite. They become greedy, restless, fighter, and weak person, and prone to many diseases of constipation, rectum, etc. And now we come to the another granthi, which is called uh, aham granthi. It is in the head. It is in the head region, in the center of your brain, which is called pituitary gland. Is basically the head gland of this granthi. There are five other glands whose names are in Sanskrit and Hindi, which I have no parallel I could find in English. So I will say it is the pituitary and group of the glands which are situated in the middle of the brain, and they control all other glands of the body. And this has very their secretion control, and they control your vision, hearing, speaking, and so on and so forth. So now we move to the location is, as I said, in the head. And if they are not working properly, then entire body starts malfunctioning and systems get ovary. And now we go to the another granthi, which is called Mahat granthi. Mahat. It is above the pituitary gland, and it is led by pineal gland. And pineal, and there are four other glands whose names are again in Sanskrit, and they control. If these glands are very strong pineal gland, then that person become godlike, like Jesus. I mean, no very noble person like Mahatma Gandhi, and you can say all the Rishi Munis, saints, top saints. They become selfless. They serve the society. They develop extraordinarily noble qualities. So this gland makes a person like this. But if this gland group of glands malfunctions, then a person becomes deceit, very mean, and very very I mean say treacherous. So this is these are the uh, 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 outcomes of strengthening or weakening of this gland. Now the last of the seventh layer is Brahmandra. Brahmandra is on the top of the head, and it is the link between the Divya Akash. Divya means divine, what I call space, sky, and the body sky. So this is the link between the two, and here it is that it is being believed in yoga that we have got three gunas: Sattva, Raj, and Tam, and in that Brahmandra, these gunas are not there. We are devoid of these gunas. We go beyond, and we become these glands start this. If this area starts working efficiently, developed, then you become enlightened. This is called Sahasradhara uh, gland also. So we have seen these are the glandular systems, and entire diseases are born out of the functioning, malfunctioning, both mental and physical, from these granthis. There could be malfunctioning of one granthi, there could be malfunctioning of two granthis, there could be malfunctioning of three granthis together. So one expert person can diagnose and let you know that which are the granthis of your body is weak after analyzing you, after analyzing a patient, and give them certain exercises for strengthening those glands. And trust me, it helps them to cure diseases. This is the basis of yogic therapy, Aditya.
Very well explained, because many people don't understand that why the scientific, see, when you go to any massages in US, and they work on your body so hard to remove the knots physically, and sometimes more people get injured by that rather than getting cured by that. because it has the knots are caused due to the incorrect sitting posture, incorrect walking posture, or postures are important, like you said in the last talk, one of the talks you said. And and due to stress also these knots can come. So the the people may go for physical therapies which may not really help. But if I what I'm understanding from you, there should be some internal processes of yoga, like breathing, or breathing fast, and breathing in certain poses, that can help in removing these granthis. Do you have that analysis, how we can
Yes, I
remove
will
it?
tell you. Yes, yes, you are very correct. Actually, like a when it is just like a goldsmith purifies gold through wind and fire. You know, the goldsmith does that thing with through wind and fire. It purifies gold. In the same way, this body of gold can be purified through wind and fire, developing the Agni Granthi and inhalation and exhalation while in doing asana. Asana, if you are doing a pose, yoga pose, if you are doing not correct inhalation, if you are not combining with inhalation, correct inhalation and exhalation, it won't be therapeutic. So it can only purify the body if that wind is also involved in asana. Asana which produces fire. So you need the wind to purify the body like a goldsmith. Aditya ji?
No, that's exactly correct, because wind inside, if you say the seven types of air moves inside the body, and
Five.
five types.
Though they are 50, though there are 50 Vayus, sorry, exactly 49 important Vayus, there are the other many subsidiary Vayus, but main are five, and their subsidiaries are more five, so 10 Vayus you can say are very important.
Yeah,
Yes.
upon one, the
Yes, there is Apan, Vyan, Pran, Udan, and Saman. Saman is in the navel. They are named after their location and functioning. Saman is located in the navel. The Udan is located in your neck. The Pran is located in your heart. The Vyan is there. Apan is in your colon.
yeah. So, so one of the questions that come to the mind is that so many people are going to these yoga studios, and they are trying to, and there is a proposal to be a Olympiad as well, and it's a also run by our friends. They want to be Olympians of yoga, and it will, their whole goal is very noble, that they want to bring yoga in the as an Olympic sport, uh, parallel to gymnastics, just to increase the popularity of yoga. That's what they want to do. But how good is the initiative from a yoga practitioner point of view, or yoga philosophy point of view?
Well, to be honest, I am aghast by this proposal and I'm extremely against this kind of proposal. Yoga doesn't need popularity. It gained its popularity on its own. You see, any person who is, if who is made popular through PR activities, his popularity doesn't remain for long. You have to have something in you to make you really popular, something in you. So yoga has that. So it doesn't need popularity through Olympics and all that. I mean, Olympics, if they include yoga into Olympics will be honored, not yoga, number one. Anyway, but I tell you why it won't be practical enough to follow this proposal. Number one, there are no fixed parameters in yoga exercises to judge them, which is correct and which is incorrect. If a person is touching the hands and putting the leg in the groin area, standing like a tree pose, how if all are doing it like this, nobody is wrong. How can you say this is first and this is second? Unless and until Olympics people make their own parameters, which will be physical parameters by a person who doesn't know yoga. So in yoga science, there are no fixed parameters who is better and who is not. Number one. Number two, there, there are so many variations. For example, of Bhujangasana, there are 45 variations. I know. There may be more, I don't know. But 45 variations of Cobra pose, I know. So if I do one variation, people will say this is wrong because they know only one variation. So unless and until you know the entire variations and everything around it, how can you decide about who is doing better? You can only decide on the basis of outer architecture. I mean, what about breathing? What about your mental concentration? What about your man? So, I mean, this is a very futile and I'm sorry to say stupid exercise to undertake. Aditi ji.
So there are yoga, and we Sathology is trying to work with many yoga studios now. Many of them run by our own students, and we want to bring in the Sathology certification, that how some boundaries in what they can teach and what they cannot teach. Uh, so one of the things which comes to my mind in the misconception is the meditative aspect of yoga has been kept out. They're trying to present yoga as just breathing exercises and things like that. And when you leave the meditative aspect of the yoga, then the spiritual fulfillment doesn't come. And because yoga, if you look at the traditional point of view, is based on mantras, and mantra come from Vedic literature. So when you leave out the meditative aspect, then no other combination of letters or words can fulfill that. No other. What is your view on that?
Well, if I define meditation, meditation is effortless concentration, and no yoga pose can be beneficial or complete without concentration. And that has to be effortless concentration. Even the effort should be effortless, the concentration focus should be effortless, and the breathing should be effortless. Then it's a complete yoga pose. So one can, if one is omitting the meditation or omitting the breathing or omitting the effortlessness of the pose, this is not yoga. It may be anything. I don't know. Aditi ji.
So one of the problems which we see, and I will also see a good thing also. The yoga is practiced by almost 45% of all active Americans. 45% of all active Americans going to
Very good.
yoga school somewhere, and and I can say that there are more than 300,000 yoga instructors, and they all claim to be connected to Yoga School of India, and indirectly or indirectly. And it can mean anything. When this Yoga School of India, can be because yoga doesn't have a centralized body, even though Ayush Ministry in India does that, but it's not a centralized body. There is no private association which certifies that what yoga is correct and what is not correct. So,
Yes.
so everyone claims to be there, and also if you check their credentials, but most of the yoga instructors can't even afford to go to India. It's too expensive for them. Many of them, just the plane tickets are prohibitive, and so the only recourse left is through our channels like ours, where we bring in yoga experts like yourself or yoga scientists like you, and speak details about these issues that they face in the yoga community in the US. The government, most of the state governments and most of the federal governments, even though you said that Clinton was very impressed by your mother, and they visited you, and your mother taught to the entourage, Clinton entourage, President Clinton's entourage, the yoga. And many of the current ruling leadership of America, their families may also be going there. But there is no one right way of yoga, one single. And I am totally not in favor of any centralization, to be frank with you. I don't like centralization because centralization destroys creativity, and I want the different thoughts of yoga from India to continue independently. And so, what is your viewpoint on this phenomena where most of the yoga instructors are always confused about whether they're doing it right or whether they want some certification on that?
Well, there cannot be any certification, to be honest. But what we protocols, make their own protocols, and then you can give affiliation to the certain yoga teachers, like American Yoga Association have already done. So, but certification for yoga is very difficult task because tra- yoga is very traditional science, complicated, and uh, I mean, and very subjective. And they have one part they have taken, and another person has taken one part, and they have developed their own school, Bindu school, Bindu Sara school, many things they have developed. But that is only very commercial angle actually. So certification cannot be done, but basic be done. Basic yogic poses can be done, and they can be enlisted and suggested to the for the grahsthas or people who are householders, because basically yoga is designed for sannyasis, sadhus, who are pursuing their effort toward realization of God, and which a person can grasp can should do or can do, while other poses one should not attempt because they are not conducive for grasta people, because then because yogic poses are not physically they are not skin deep or muscle deep. They are they affect mental outlook completely. So which are designed for uh, sadhus or saints. And for grahasthas, people should do those poses which can make their body strong, mentally strong, to survive, as you said, to avoid stress, to make them give them more energy for doing work, and doing work without stress, enjoying work, being happy, being positive. That is very important. And those poses can be identified and clubbed and presented to the world. That is possible, and that should be done in my.
A great point, actually, Atulji. And also the thank you so much for coming on the show and speaking to us on all these matters. There will be a lot of other questions also will come up later on, because today you have touched upon a topic which many people will have to think deeply and see this video again to come to to understand what is the problem with some of the knots granthi and how yoga can help them resolve it. And also, you have already spoken in the past about the number of pranayam they need to keep in mind. And so, we will come up with more similar content for the yoga community, which is one of the largest in North America, largest unorganized industry, isn't there in North America, which they're trying
Yeah,
very hard.
you should give them something to really authentic, maybe a very small package, which they should do for all about it. They should not do something, attempt something very, which Iyengar have taught them. They are good poses, but there are certain poses which are very safe, very easy to do it, and properly one should do it. So feel good all about it. And especially one should focus on two systems. One is poses for digestive system, and another is poses for respiratory system. If one can focus on these two, I think one can be very healthy, and one doesn't need all kinds of other kinds of yoga people are going. And regarding spirituality, these poses, if you do in a certain way, they also help you in advancement in your spirituality as well. Aditya ji.
So thank you all very much for watching. Thank you, Atul Vyasji, for coming and sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. And for
And
viewers,
I welcome anyone who have question on this. They can, I mean, through you contact me, and I will be very happy to answer their questions. If
if you have your
if I
website address, you can tell them they can reach you out directly also.
Yeah, my website address is www.yogainjaipur one word.com.
Okay.
Yogainjaipur.com.
And in case any yoga instructors want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with sattology@sattology.org. SATTOLOGY at SATTOLOGY.org. So thank you.
And whenever anybody contacts me through you, they should mention Cytology. Please
Yes.
mind it this.
So for viewers who have watched this show and you have liked it, please do go to the YouTube channel and comment over there, and we'll take those comments. They're compiled and sent to different speakers, and then we can take some positive action on that. So thank you for watching. Namaskar, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Good night and have a great day. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Bye.